Facebook. Let's run through the card for the big pay-per-view this weekend. We'll start from the bottom and work our way up to the top. First, the Royal Rumble kickoff show is going to feature a tag team championship match. Cody Rhodes and Goldust defending the titles against Billy and Bart. That goes back. That's a different tag team. Road Dogg and Billy Gunn, the New Age Outlaws, getting their first crack at tag team gold. I don't even know. I'm going to guess the year 2000 would have been the last time they probably wrestled for the tag team titles. So it's been a while. They've looked pretty good on TV of late. They've been on pretty much every show, Raw, SmackDown. They were part of the big 10-man tag main event on SmackDown this week, which was pretty good. I am going to go ahead and predict the New Age Outlaws here. Wouldn't shock me if Cody and Goldust retain, but they built up some friction, which they've started to do heading into the Rumble match. We know that the two of them are going to be pulling double duty, so even though this match is on the pre-show, they will be on the pay-per-view. I don't know about Billy and Road Dogg, but I'm going to go with the Outlaws here, just because it looks to me like they are starting things in motion for a Cody Goldust feud heading into WrestleMania. I outlined a whole plan months ago on how I would book this thing. I'm almost sad, though, because they're such an awesome tag team, and I would hate to break them up this soon. I think the timing with WrestleMania coming up, it's just really poor timing. But if they're going to go in that direction, I would have them drop the belts here, because you can then build up even more tension between them going into the Rumble match. And you put the belts on the Outlaws, it's a nostalgic thing. They wouldn't hold them for that long. And whether it's on Raw one of these weeks, or if you want to keep the belts on them until WrestleMania, at some point between now and then, they drop the belts to a team like the Usos and put them over. I have no problem with that. And it's not like the Outlaws have looked awful in the ring. They're actually passable. They're good. So I don't have a problem putting the belts on them, and I'd probably do it myself. So they're my pick. New tag team champions. Also, the guest panel for the Royal Rumble will consist of all Royal Rumble winners. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the first Rumble winner, who I think just had surgery, laser eye surgery, and he had surgery on his shoulder, to repair his rotator cuff. So he's the Bionic Man. He'll be there. Nature Boy Ric Flair, winner of the greatest Royal Rumble match of all time in 1992. And Shawn Michaels, back-to-back Rumble winner in 95 and 96. All three men will be on the guest panel. On the pay-per-view itself, not a lot of matches signed. Wouldn't surprise me if they add a Divas match, maybe AJ and Trinity or Naomi, whatever she goes by on television. I don't even know. I don't even know why they have two different names between Total Divas and this show, but it's possible they'll add that. If not, we have a pretty slim card here. Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt have their one-on-one match. It certainly looks like Daniel Bryan will not be in the Royal Rumble match, which is just completely ridiculous. He did an interview on Friday with it was either a newspaper or a website, but he made it clear that as of that day, he was not in the Rumble match. And he made a comment in there about how Triple H doesn't want me anywhere near the Rumble match. I'm hoping that maybe it's all just a work, and he'll be a surprise entrant, It'd be pretty cool to see him come out there at number 30 and the place goes crazy. Comes down to him and Batista. I would love it, just because I am convinced that if the Royal Rumble match were to come down to Daniel Bryan, if he was in it, and Batista would get drowned out by chance of Daniel Bryan. Batista would have his fans, but I have no doubt in my mind that the crowd would be firmly behind Bryan over Batista. And whoever wins, it would make for a great visual. I'm sure Batista wouldn't be too thrilled. But it's a moot point. I don't think Bryan is going to be in the Rumble match, and that's a big mistake, in my opinion. The match with Bray, I think Bray's going over either way, especially if you consider the rumored WrestleMania plans still call for a Bray Wyatt-John Cena match. I'm sure they want to keep Bray Wyatt as strong as possible. Bryan has lost before. He will lose again. I don't think it'll harm him too much. If Bryan was going to be in the Rumble, it would actually make total sense to have him lose to Bray Wyatt. Kind of the whole Bret Owen deal at WrestleMania 10, where Bret goes out there, opening match, loses to his brother, comes back out at the end and wins the championship. So Owen picks up a big win, which is a big boost for his credibility, and it doesn't hurt Bret, because Bret ends the night with the belt. Kind of a similar thing here, where if Bryan was going to be in the Rumble, you have Bray beat him, and Bryan ends up entering the Rumble later on, and he wins the whole thing. And it almost makes too much sense now that I put it like that, because, and I know they're not doing this, I think any hope of Daniel Bryan wrestling for the championship at WrestleMania is pretty much dead. And we're going to talk about Daniel Bryan and WrestleMania in a second, because I got something to say about that. But if you think about it, if Bryan were to win the Rumble and go on to challenge for the title, I've said before, it makes sense. It's a nice way to wrap up this storyline with the Authority that they began back over the summer and give people a satisfying conclusion that I think a lot of fans have been waiting for. But what you can also do in having Bray beat him, it's like, okay, well, Bryan wins the Rumble. Now what does he do between now and WrestleMania? Well, you got one title now. I mean, 2 belts, but you got one unified championship. So at the Elimination Chamber, the title is determined in the Chamber match. So whatever 6 guys, including the champion, are going to be in the Chamber match, they'll be wrestling for the title. And the other big match on the February pay-per-view can be Bryan and Bray in a rematch with Bryan's WrestleMania shot on the line. And I am not a fan of that. I've said that before. I hate that. It's stupid. In the past, when you've had the babyface who won the Royal Rumble and went through hell to get there, all of a sudden, yeah, I'll put my title shot on the line against you. It's completely dumb, but I'm sure they could come up with a storyline explanation for it. You know, Triple H and the Authority, they're always looking to screw Bryan. Well, fine. Have them put Bryan in a match with Bray Wyatt, with the logic being that Bray beat you at the Royal Rumble, and it's only appropriate that he has a chance to win your title shot. Of course, Bryan would win, and then he would go on to Mania. But anyway, this is all, again, fantasy booking. I don't think that's the direction they're going in. I still say Bray Wyatt wins, and it's a shame. It's a shame if Bryan loses the match and doesn't even show up in the Rumble later in the night. They're squandering a huge opportunity here. I don't see the logic behind it. And I disagree with it. I think it's stupid. And I'm holding out a sliver of hope that he will be in the Rumble. But not looking too good right now. We have Brock Lesnar and The Big Show, one-on-one. I'm looking forward to this match maybe more than any other match on this card. I very much enjoy Brock Lesnar matches. I don't typically enjoy Big Show matches. I like Big Show in other ways. He's been good on commentary sometimes. When Big Show does comedy, it can be funny. Not really a Big Show fan as far as his matches go, but again, these guys had a chemistry 10, 11 years ago. I know that's a long time ago, but I think they'll have a good match. I don't expect it to be a long match. There's no reason for these guys to be in that ring for more than 5 or 6 minutes, to be honest. And Brock, there's only one outcome for this match. Brock wins. And Brock wins in decisive fashion. It's one thing to have Brock running away from him on television every single week, to make Big Show out to be this monster that you should be afraid of. But once they get to the Rumble, you got to have these two guys just go head-to-head. Brock should not be running scared. He just has to go in there. I'm sure Big Show will throw him around, and Brock will bump all over the place for him. But then Brock's got to throw Big Show around a little bit. F5 at some point, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. That's the only outcome for this match that makes sense. John Cena and Randy Orton for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. No DQ, no interference. Hopefully the final Cena-Orton match for some time. I've seen enough of these two together. I'm going with Randy Orton here. I think it's too early to take the title off him. If he's going to be their champion going into WrestleMania, then that's fine. If they're going to switch the title from him to somebody like Brock or somebody like that at the Elimination Chamber, that's fine too. There's no reason to put the title on Cena right now if the belt possibly is going to change hands next month anyway. And I don't really need to see John Cena in the championship match at WrestleMania unless he's got the right opponent. And John Cena, Randy Orton, part 509 is not the answer for WrestleMania. So I'm perfectly content keeping the belt on Orton. Now, they've said no interference. I can't see Randy Orton beating John Cena clean 1, 2, 3. I think that if they're going to do Cena and Bray Wyatt, this would be an appropriate time to have some Wyatt family involvement that leads to Cena losing the match. But I have no idea what they're going to do. I just know that Orton's got to be keeping the belt here, so he's my pick. And then we have the 30-man Royal Rumble match. I don't remember exactly how many guys they've announced so far. It's in the 20s. They've left open a whole bunch of spots for possible surprises, whether it's somebody like a Bryan or somebody on the outside. As far as, I wouldn't shock me to see RVD in there. Wouldn't shock me at all if they brought in Jake the Snake, which I hope they do, since I know he's been just dying to get in the Royal Rumble match for months and months and months. So for him, probably more so than any of us, it would be a huge deal. You could do the DDT spot with him and Heath Slater or whoever, and have 3MB or have one person just gently dump him over the top rope. No harm, no foul. I could see that. Kevin Nash is in town for some event. Maybe he can put on the diesel gear and give CM Punk another powerbomb. I don't think he gave CM Punk enough of those jackknife powerbombs 2 years ago. Then he can throw him out as a favor to Triple H. And I'm only half joking when I say that, by the way. So we'll see who they have in mind. I always love the surprises in the Rumble. Yeah, I've heard other names, Christian, who's been ready to come back for a while, and maybe Sheamus and stuff like that. We'll find out. I'm sure there's one or two names that none of us are thinking of who will pop up. As far as who wins, that's a good question. I certainly would be led to believe, based on television, that Batista's winning the Royal Rumble, and based on the WrestleMania plans that are floated around out there, and the fact they brought this guy back, a lot of fanfare, signed a 2-year contract, so he's going to be sticking around for a while. He's a big star. I know it's kind of predictable, but Batista is my pick. CM Punk is entering the Rumble at number 1. I think he'll probably go all the way to the end, or pretty close to the end. But if it's going to be Punk and Triple H at WrestleMania, I don't see Punk winning the Rumble. I can see him getting screwed. So Batista's my pick. There really is nobody else that makes any sense, if you think about it, based on who's involved in what match. John Cena is not going to be in the Rumble match. Bryan, it appears, is not going to be in the Rumble match. We have the Big Show and Brock doing their thing. Brock's not in the Rumble. No other person, given what we've seen on TV, and we saw a tease on Raw last Monday of Batista and Orton. Batista threatening him and telling him, I'm going to take the title from you at WrestleMania. That would be the direction that would make the most sense. Now, if they want to have a name out of left field, I know Batista's been feuding online, a Twitter war, they keep saying with Alberto Del Rio. I don't see Del Rio winning the Rumble. I just don't see any other logical choice beyond Batista. It would be a name completely out of left field if anybody else won the Rumble. I don't see a Roman Reigns winning the Royal Rumble. It's not the right time. I would hold off on that whole Shield split anyway until WrestleMania. Let that thing work. Let that thing work out. They got a good thing going right now. They'll build to something, and Reigns will break out and be this big baby face. Way too early for him to be winning Royal Rumbles or winning the world title or anything like that. I could see Reigns dumping a whole bunch of people out of the ring. In fact, I expect that. And I expect something to go down where one member of the Shield eliminates another, something like that. But Roman Reigns is not even a dark horse pick to me. I just don't see that happening. So Batista's my pick. And that's the card. Like I said, maybe they'll add a Divas match, maybe they won't. I know some people are upset the tag title match is not on the pay-per-view. I'm just kind of over the whole thing. It is kind of dumb. I guess the logic is that maybe they can entice some new buys by putting an exciting match on the pre-show. And look, Cody and Goldust have had some of the most exciting matches on television in recent months. Goldust has been awesome. Cody's great. Cody hangs in there with him, and people are getting into him, I think, a little bit more and more. Goldust still gets bigger reactions from people, I think, more out of nostalgia than anything else. They're just amazed by some of the things he's able to do in the ring. But the point is, you have these two teams. The Outlaws are still kind of over, at least with that older audience, and maybe that's their mentality. They think that they can maybe get some more buys. My logic is this. By 7:45 on Sunday night, you know whether or not you're paying $60 to watch the Royal Rumble. I don't see Cody and Goldust and the Outlaws going out there and changing many people's minds unless Steve Austin comes out and stuns all four of them, drinks beer, and says, order the Royal Rumble because Stone Cold said so. Okay, that might get more people to buy the pay-per-view. Short of something like that happening, I don't think it makes a difference one way or the other. So who cares? I'm sure it'll get the show off to a hot start. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been excited. I haven't had a reason to be excited for a WWE pay-per-view since SummerSlam. I am mildly excited for the Royal Rumble, which is more than I can say for Survivor Series and Battleground and all the other BS nonsense that they've spoon-fed us over the last few months. I'm sure the Rumble can't possibly be any worse than that.